Okay, we'll call to order the special, or excuse me, the city council workshop for August 16th, 2022, 5:30. Budget discussion. Jenny, opening comments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, members of the council. Tonight, we will kick off our budget conversations with half of our departments, and then we will follow the same format for next week with the other half of our departments. So I have a few opening comments, and then we'll just get right in to our department presentations. So I have a lot to get through here tonight. Hold on, let me get this thing started. You know, you tested it before. What's that? Yeah, it's on. It worked an hour ago. Let's do that. Okay. Just click one for me. Okay. So a few opening comments just to give the council some perspective as we go through this. So these are the first drafts of the department budgets that we're going through tonight. I have had one meeting with each department. There's certainly room for adjustment. We need further information for some things we don't know yet. So we'll keep working through that. So I just wanted to make that clear that this is the first draft as we've gotten some things pulled together for you. This is lots of information. Hopefully you won't be too overwhelmed with all the information in your packet. As I mentioned in my memo, just focus on what you can. Department heads will go through the main priority items for you tonight. And certainly ask questions. I think I've got another, I should just follow my slide here. I don't know. So please tonight ask clarifying questions to make sure you understand what the departments are talking about. If they have a new request for something, just make sure you understand the why or what strategic plan they may be, the goal that they're trying to advance. As you're thinking about this, I'm sure following tonight and next week's meeting as well, please follow up with me if you think of questions after the fact. What I'd like to do is make sure that, you know, if Mayor Ryan has a question that might be relevant to the whole council, I want to make sure you all get that information. So I want to be the funnel to work through that. And then we'll work with the department heads to get you the information that you need. A quick note on building matrices. So a lot of the information you have in your packet focuses on equipment. The building matrix process has been a little bit slower, but we are working on that. Next week, we have a department head meeting, and I will work with staff to come up with a timeline for getting that completed. That will bring back to the council as well. So I wanted you to know that we're working on that, and that is in part why you don't see it in your packets tonight and not next week as well. So we are working on that. Thank you. Throughout the process, council, staff, everybody, feedback is great as far as what's working well, what doesn't flow very well in the, in the order of events. If we need to do something different for next year, please let me know. I'm happy to make adjustments. We try to plan as best we can, and we think that's a great plan. And sometimes it gets to be a lot all at one time, or something different that we didn't really anticipate. So please provide feedback on the process. After tonight and after next Tuesday's workshop, we will compile and summarize this information to the council, mostly on the new requests for things, as we did last year, so the council can see what those, I'm just going to say, additions potential to the budget are, so you can work to prioritize what those items are and help to direct staff on further our budgeting process. So we will do that as well and provide that to you. And lastly, I just wanted to close with thank you to everyone, to the staff, to the council. It's a lot of time and effort to put the budgets together, capital improvement plans, strategic plan worksheets. It's a lot of work. I think it's really worth the effort, and you have a lot of great information that you'll see over the next couple weeks. So I just want to say thank you. And any questions for me before we start? I put signs on the door that we may run a little late. I hope that we can get through all of the department conversations efficiently, but also completely. So if you start a little bit late on your regular meeting, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So I just wanted to mention that because this is the opportunity that you have with staff to ask your questions. So, okay, with that, we will turn it over to Terry, I think is first up. Okay.
All right, good evening. Do you guys want to turn to the proposed budget for the spreadsheet with profits or revenues and expenditures? I don't know if you want to go item line by line or what do you know? Okay, good, because that'll take forever.
So Terry, we were hoping to focus on strategic plan items, changes for next year, anything just sort of bigger picture.
Oh, good.
type of
Okay.
thing.
Let's go to the capital improvement summary then. If you look at the, I've got some money put away for ice machines. We did not purchase one last year, so that money is just going to carry over. Cam Dorian's been doing all the work on my machines, and even like our beer coolers behind the bar, we were going to purchase some new ones. They were like $3,500 a piece. They're like they weren't the quality of the machines that I have in the bar now, so it was easier to put a new compressor in for what, $800-900 I think, and keep it going. You'll find the newer machines are like disposable. They'll last for about 3-4 years, and like the ones I have right now are probably, what are they, 2004 I think are in there. So they're 18 years old and they're still running really good. They just need a little help every once in a while. We are planning for new patio tables probably next summer. The ones out there are pretty beat up. I was going to buy new chairs for out there this year, but we didn't have it in the budget for this year. So I went and bid some. It was like $2,800 for new chairs. So I just went to Fleet Farm and spent $400, and it'll get us through this year, and then we'll do some more research for next year. High top tables. Those are the ones that are in the bar. They're probably 15 years old. It'll be time to change them. You'll notice when you're in there, they're tippy, and so those will need to be replaced. The bar stools are only 2 years old, so those won't be needed for quite a while. If you would like to go, well, any questions on that page?
Yeah, I had just one question. I noticed that the largest item on here is miscellaneous with 40,000. Is that like a lot of little things, $40,000 things, or what's the largest item in that miscellaneous?
Right under new coolers.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know. I don't think that's part, well, I'm not sure what we're gonna put in our miscellaneous. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's fine. Just later
Maybe,
on what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's probably just one item that's pretty big in there that would probably have a separate item line.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Good catch.
On your coolers, what
Yep.
kind of refrigerant is that?
What kind of refrigerant is it?
Yeah, what does the cooler use? Is it using R12 or is it a newer?
Is it our 135? Yeah,
So you can get it.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. That was,
yeah, the old stuff was taken out that, I don't even know what it was called.
okay. Well, I just, yeah.
Yeah, this stuff's easy to get. We are looking at for, I'll look into that 40 grand. Okay, good catch.
The only other thing I had, Terry, was if you could expand on the expansion of the back room just a little bit. It's the fourth one down, a large back room for 38,500.
Well, we're talking, that's we want to add on to the off sale,
Yeah,
go out to the sidewalk.
okay,
Oh,
But with the building costs right now,
right.
we're looking at future down the road, but we have to put money away each year for that.
Yeah.
My back room right now is mainly comprised of storing things for the Lions. Where I used to be able to put pallets of beer back there.
Sure.
Now I have 4 closets full of pull tabs, so it'd be nice, and then I would like to wrap that walk-in cooler around. So be on the south side, put a 6-door cooler there.
Got it.
Enlarge the beer cooler, have a large door where they can run the pallets right up inside the cooler, and then do a wraparound storage in the back.
Yep.
Is what I'd like to do. But that costs money. So. If you'd like to go to the, let's see. Long range infrastructure plan. Since we're talking about that, that's the addition we're talking about. So I'm sure the cost is gonna be more than 200,000. We're just trying to get a ballpark number there. I am working with a gentleman from High Tech, Adam Hops. He's got a guy that wants to come up and take a look at, get things rolling on that. Keep you guys updated. And maybe pull the trigger in 3-4 years, I don't know. But we just don't have, you just don't,
So-
that's something you
It's
just don't go.
necessary.
Yeah, it's something you just don't go, hey, let's start this tomorrow, so.
so this
Um,
back room is for additional, like people would sit and drink and things like that, or what?
This is to be an addition to the off sale,
To the off sale side, okay, so
not to the
storage,
bar side.
okay,
Yep. I don't know, if you've been in the off sale? When you come in, it'll go to the south.
uh-huh. In the back there,
Yep,
okay,
You push that whole wall out, right?
yep,
The whole wall. So the lot sale will get longer
yep,
and the back room gets longer.
yep. So it'll go out to where the meat raffle sign is there.
Yep.
So basically it'll be that square. And up to
Right.
where the recycling bins are there. Is the plan. So 3 things we're gonna need for that is get okay from the city council, get bids from contractors, and then finalize the construction dates. Hopefully the building costs will go down by then, but I don't know.
A question, there's nothing in here about a generator to be shared between City Hall and you. Is that gone by the boards or what's the status?
Well, the status on that is the cost was 148,000, I believe.
It was.
And we were gonna share the cost between the city hall and the pickle.
Right, that's why I was wondering why there's nothing in here.
If I
Cause
could.
we're still working on it. I don't know.
Well, it's part of the ARPA funding conversation, not specifically in his budget yet.
Right.
But yes, we received that quote and the other information from that we'll circle back in September to follow up and see if that's separate funding we want to use for the generator, if that's a priority for that, or if that would be something in this budget.
Yeah, it's not specifically for the pickle budget for this year, so.
On that note, Tom and I had spoke a couple times about the size of the generator needed for not just this building, but also the pickle in the event that it will go down. Then I kind of posed another broader question about, okay, backup power for some other buildings within the city. Is there a priority between the two? In the event that the city of Nisswa loses power, where is our rally points? Does it make sense for a certain area to be a rally point? That's kind of where it's been left off on my end too. I know we talked about some other quotes about different sizes of, different variations of kilowatt for the generator. I know on our end and our private business that we can perhaps procure a better quote. I'm gonna say no in this current economic climate with materials and tooling equipment costs right now, it's just through the roof. So determining the timing of that, because these funds don't expire for quite some time. And we do have a good window to be able to make a good plan for that too. So I think that definitely a discussion that you and I and Terry could even have with Jenny to just
Right,
determine
right.
what's the best plan for a backup generator. Because the fire hall was talked about that as well too, if that was something that they would like as well.
They have one.
Oh, shoot, that's right. Yeah,
They're the,
right. Yeah. So that then poses a question, okay, do we need it for here as well? If in the event of a natural disaster, so. That's your question.
yeah, hopefully don't have one. Then we've got employee retention plan. So a lot of this has to do with employee training. Every 2 years, we have to do alcohol awareness training through either the MMBA or the MLBA. I talked to a gentleman or Tony Cheswick from the MLBA, and he'll have a person come up and do our training. And I'm looking at getting a hold of Brian from Spirits. We can train both stores. It's about an 1.5-hour class. So. And then you can also do it online for those that cannot attend the meeting. Then we have the safety plan. A lot of this is with the maintenance department. Just keeping everything working inside. As far as bathrooms and everything like that. Tom and his crew have been doing a great job. Every time I need something like the popcorn machine fixed or something, I'll go to Mike Deck and he'll order the parts and fix it. Other things that I need outside of maintenance, I have Cam Dorian take care of. As far as the auto fry parts, we just ordered new baskets for that. Beer coolers behind the bar, things like that, so. Otherwise, everything's working pretty good over there for an old building, so. It was built in 1971, so. You guys have any other questions or comments?
I'm done.
I don't. Mark? No. No, we're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Yep.
Some point of discussion about probably. Their organization about organization, et cetera.
Well, at some point in time, yeah. Picture.
Yeah, maybe there. Yeah.
Well, good evening. You
Good
guys ready for
evening.
this? Yes, you're not gonna see that very well on the screen, sorry. Let's just move right to the strategic plan, or however you say that word. And we want to start off with I don't want to start with this one, but I'm going to talking about our relief association and our members. We're gonna try to we're working with the city at this point right now to try to move to $5,700 a year with city backing. Our meetings have been going very well now that we've aligned our bylaws or rewritten our bylaws with John and Jenny on the what would you call it? On the board, which is like it should have been all along. So the talks are moving forward. We're hoping to come see you guys in September to see about possibly following us along at the 5,700 with city backing. So that's our plan so far. We have a meeting on sometime here early September. And then we'll hopefully get to come over and see you guys. So that's, any questions on that one? No? Recruitment of new members. We learned at a chief's meeting about 2.5 weeks ago about menfirehire.org. It's a new organization in the state of Minnesota that's got $4.3 million from legislation to recruit new firemen for the state of Minnesota. We are just in the beginning talks with, I believe his name is Jared, at the state level. And what that means for us, if for recruitment, will mean signs, basically bling. You're going to get see firemen start wearing shirts that say, how do I become a fireman? Ask me. They have a lot of interesting deals. They already have a website set up. If you type in your address, it'll tell you what chief to get a hold of and what area you live in the state. So it looks exciting. I'm hoping it works out for recruitment. Right now, we're at 25 guys and we have, 25 members, and we have 2 members that want to join. And we're hoping to take those on within the next couple of months. And I'll be over here for your approval for that also. But we got to get through some hurdles first. AKA physical agility tests, background checks, so forth and so on. Just stuff that we do for every member. So that takes care of our recruitment. Any questions there? This in 23, we're going to look at wildland gear for our firefighters. Our grass fires, we're running currently, or we're dressing in our turnout gear, which is insulated and is very heavy and very hot. Wildland gear is going to cost us roughly $1,000 per guy or per member to equip. So right now I understand Sourcewell has a $10,000 matching grant. I have a plan of if we can get our hands on that for next year, depending on what you guys decide to do as a city, which department can apply for that for next year. But there is a $10,000 matching grant. I'm going to need approximately $25,000 to equip my guys with wildland gear. I think it's very necessary because right now you're taxing your bodies huge in the temperatures that we're dealing with. So the 10,000 from my side is a line item budget for training, which we get Minnesota Training Board monies from the state, which covers our training for the year. So I have a 10,000 line item budget number for that other matching side. So it'd be a pretty easy to afford to get wildland gear if we can apply, if we're the department that can apply for the Sourcewell grant, which is now open. So we can write for it if we just get their approval. Any questions on wildland gear? The Nisswa command vehicle replacement, we've already been here and talked to you guys, and you guys have given us approval in November. Unfortunately, 1040 Ford still doesn't have a build ticket. So here we sit, we're still waiting. I'm hoping to have a truck maybe by the first of the year. I just don't know. We're at the mercy. So when that ever comes in, that's the plan there, and that's being paid for by our fundraising. So there's no money out of our pocket or out of the cities there. So now we came to the subject of, we were getting rid of our old command vehicle, the Black Tahoe, to where now we want to repurpose it. It's going to need a transmission. We found transmissions are about $800 plus whatever costs to put it in and a little bit of rust repair. We'd like to take our Tahoe and move it as another response rig and equip it, which won't take too much. And we'll have one on each side of our area. And logistically, if and when that works out, we'll figure out where to put it and who's going to carry it. So that's that if this other truck ever comes. So with that being said, that rolls right into the Lucas device. A Lucas device is a mechanical machine that does chest compressions for us. So right now my squad carries a Lucas device and we run all over with it. We have had 3 saves this year, which I think is phenomenal. If we repurpose our Tahoe, we'd like to add another Lucas device, and then I'll be coming to see you to see if we can get $12,000 to buy a refurbed Lucas device for that machine or for that repurposed truck. If that works out. Like I say, I don't have a timeline on this because we're at the mercy of Ford. Any questions there?
What's
That's-
the cost of a new Lucas device?
So a used one is 10 to 12,000 for a refurbished one. New one is 14 to 16. We currently run with the refurbished one now, and it's been bulletproof. A North Ambulance buys refurbished ones, so I don't even care. Tom Nixon sells them over in Deerwood. He sells for the wherever, and he finds us the best deal, and that's what we
You
go
see
with.
no problem with refurb versus.
No, not at all. To the point where our department to the south of us has a Lucas device, and they send it in once a year for maintenance. And North Ambulance doesn't even do that. They just don't send them. They're bulletproof. It's a piston that goes up and down. It just works. If there's a problem, we'll swap it out and get it fixed at that time. So the add of a rescue boat, we've already talked about just that at the last council meeting. It was approved. So I just threw it in there as part of my plan. iPads and mounts for our trucks. We'd like to add one to our backup engine, our tenders, and our utility truck and our new command truck. So it's just a matter of buying the iPads, putting the mounts in, and then up in our cellular bill. They're really nice for us because Active 911 is live real time with us. So when you push respond on our Active 911, you can see exactly where that truck's coming from and you know who's on what trucks. It just works great. Right now it's on our phones, but we currently have it in our frontline engine, our Lake Edward engine, and in my command vehicle. So we can see what's going on a bigger screen. So it does great mapping from right wherever you're at. It shows us our water supply points. It has pre-plans for Grandview and other Viking labels in it. We're able to load a lot of information on it. It's just something we'd like to do. Questions there? So for 23, we have a brush truck, an initial attack truck on the list here in the strategic plan. We know that we don't have capital funds at this point to be able to purchase a grass truck, and it's on my 2029 list of replacement. But with your guys' approval, we'd like to start raising funds from the community to start moving forward quicker for our grass rig. We'll probably start that early 23 and go forward. Approximately, we're guessing at 250,000 because things have gone crazy. I'm hoping to be closer to the 200 mark, but we're going to push 250 time it's equipped. So that's where we're at with that.
Is that more or less donations from the Lions or the community as a
we-
whole?
So if you look at my donation record, I
Mhm.
do fairly well throughout the years that I've been
Yeah.
in asking for money. I
Yeah.
do fairly well. So I just start writing letters again and asking different foundations, and it seems like we have ways of raising funds for fire departments. It just works. I can't answer it. So I'd like to start, we're just going to try to get some community development and try to start on this. And, it might be 4 years before we have 250,000, but I'd like to start rolling that way. That's at today's current ideas. Things could change.
So when you look at a truck of this nature, it's a 1-ton.
Yes.
Dually,
We would like to go with a dually in this next one, because right now we have a single wheel, and eventually we'd get rid of our old one that's quite a few years old. But yes, we'd like to move to a dually to carry more water. Maybe have 2 industrial size hose reels rather than garden hoses that we're currently using, with a regular DNR fire pump on it. And then it'd be capable of drafting. So when in places where we couldn't get water, we could just slip down to the lake and get water. So a dually would be fittable for us, or a 1-ton single wheel would be also great.
Is this brush attack truck the one that's on
For 2029, yes.
Is this the one that's a fire station improvement on the improvement plan summary?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
The one that you currently have right now, is that going to be good enough for the next 4 years if you have to wait that long to get a replacement?
Yes, I believe so. I do believe so. It's nice thing about a fire truck, everything's low miles, but a tremendous amount of hours because they sit idle.
Yep.
The truck we have now, we just put tires on. It hasn't caused too many problems, but it's just like everything. What we have is working, and we just keep it working. Any questions? So on this fancy dancy one hard to read that. Yes. My next truck that I'll come to you guys about will be our pumper tender truck. It's basically a tanker truck. We're gonna have a pump on it, just like what we have today. The idea is there is when we finally get enough funding there, we'll start rolling forward. We're looking at 2025, but things could change. So that'll be our next big purchase. What was nice is Pequot just received theirs and we'd buy about this from the same company and it came in at 300. And we'll be at 302 because we'll step up the size pump. They're already upset with their size. So that's where we'll shake there if we were to go this year, but you know, prices go up.
Just a question down in the Schaefer's Corner. There was some talk about getting a ladder truck and I see it's listed here. But is that a real possibility? Do you really need a ladder truck for what's being planned down there or not?
As you see with the ladder truck, there's no year there.
Yeah, right.
I know that would answer a lot of your planning and zoning problems and height. I think my opinion would be on a ladder truck is on our next pumper replacement, Lake Edwards, Lake Shore, Sibley and Pelican have no interest or want of a ladder truck. So we would do a pumper and then come to the city of Nisswa and say, okay, do you want to put the ladder on top of the truck? Cross Lake did about the same thing. The ladder on the top of the truck was an extra $225,000. So at that point, we buy our pumper with the contracted areas money. And then if the city wanted to kick in for the ladder portion of it, then you kick in. Or approve a 3-story building and let them donate $1.5 million and we put a ladder truck in our hall. Any other questions? Come on, Joe.
If I could, the timing is a little bit off with fire department budget. If you recall, we approved their budget in March of every year, February, March. But I think this is a great time to work through some of these planning things like your fundraising idea and things like that. So whatever direction we can give Sean, you know, over the next few months for things to move forward with, I think would be really helpful for the department. So I just wanted to make sure that their budget doesn't get set on the same schedule as the rest of the city budgets, but still good to be talking through all these long-term plans.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have one question though.
Go ahead.
I noticed that there's on this budget or the plan here down the road that there's like a 1.5 million and $500,000 trucks in here.
That's
The
the ladder
ladder
truck we were
trucks.
just talking about, Mark.
Yeah, and then replacing these other things. As far as the planning for that, how that's not community donations, I don't think, right?
No, no.
I
That'll be
can answer
guys.
that for you, chief. We're working on that with them. We've been working with Sean and the assistant chief and the fire department. You know, when we come to the matrix and laying it all out, it's going to take some creative financing to figure out how we get them on a schedule so that hopefully, and maybe it won't happen, but hopefully it'll end up being similar to what Public Works does, you know, how they amortize out vehicles and we budget X amount every year.
Right.
And so when the time comes, they can, you know, have the money set there ready for that vehicle. I don't know if that's going to be possible with the types of vehicles and stuff, but that's the goal. And we're working with them. We've been working with them on that. This is the start. Seeing it on paper, getting it stretched out and then figuring out how much has to go. And when you add up how much has to be put aside for everything on top of the equipment that goes in it, then, and they get like for their SCBAs, they get grants usually. But one of the things that I've mentioned to them is, okay, what if we don't?
Well,
Not like
we've been very fortunate over the last few years
Exactly.
to always get an SBA grant. That seems to be high on FEMA's priority list. So we've been very fortunate, but if our SCBA's were to be redone in 2035, we'd have to buy them. And the last purchase was $180,000 for our
So,
SCBA's.
so we need to plan all that. So, because it's not well, they could just wait. No, they need it. So
Yeah.
it's not some, so.
When our
we're working with all
SCBA's
that.
go out
So
of date,
yeah.
they're out.
Well,
To answer your question, the breakdown, all the slots
Yeah.
filled in and stuff is coming.
That's coming, yeah, and I like what I'm seeing here, that you actually work to put this down like this, because then you can ask the questions like that. So I'm glad to see that started anyway, so.
Are we good? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, wait. What the heck?
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give you a pretty detailed presentation. I would call it, sort of complicated in some of the things that we're asking for. I know we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to try to blow through it as fast as we can, but we came up with these projects by asking the officers in the department what their priorities were, and we went through with them as a group. And we came up with several different things that we felt were priorities that we needed to deal with right away. And break that down to, it's called Axon Video Management System, which we'll give you a presentation on. A office manager is still something that's going to be a request that we're going to give. We're not going to get in a lot of detail on that one because of time constraints and because we presented it last year, but that issue has not gone away. It won't go away. And then we have an issue with cybersecurity that we're going to need to address. And that's almost something that we don't even have any choice of, but to be upfront with you about what we're looking at. And then we had a couple other issues. One is a squad car that we're going to deal with tonight, hopefully. And we've been working with city administrators through these issues, which is the squad car and firearms purchasing. And we have a pretty good presentation for you on that as well, but we won't have time to give it to you tonight. But city administrator has taken a lead on that, and we're moving forward, and we will give you an explanation in the future about what we've done and why. So I'd also like to recognize Luke Hall. He put this together. He did a great job. Every officer contributed, and I would like to thank the work that they had done. I really had nothing to do with any of this, so they're the ones that deserve the credit. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So for our 2023 budget, we're looking at some big budget item changes. The first thing Craig mentioned was our evidence management Axon. So our request is to update our, I'll call it an evidence management system. It's a complete, well, what it is, it's for our digital evidence. Our digital evidence includes any pictures, videos, voice recordings, interview recordings, any screenshots, dash cam video, prisoner transport video, body camera video, any documents, reports, and evidence provided by citizens. Have been seeing these to become more common. Pretty much any call we deal with, any arrest we deal with, develops digital evidence now. And so we'll go over some of those items. First, photos. What we're currently doing is we have some getting outdated point and shoot digital cameras that saves the pictures onto the SD card. We plug the SD card into our desktop computers. We transfer the files onto our desktop computer to where we then relabel and upload them into LETG, which is our records management system, which is the system we use through the sheriff's office. The whole county uses the same system. For videos, it's pretty much the same process. We're using our point and shoot cameras to record videos onto the SD card, transferring them onto our desktop computers. labeling them and then uploading them into the LETG, the website. Voice recordings, also pretty much the same process. We're recording interviews onto our digital voice recorders. That saves to the internal storage. We then download that onto our desktop computer, label it and upload it into LETG. This stuff, I don't know if you're clicking on something. Interview recordings, same thing. Basically, everything is being stored locally on our desktops, our devices, our SD cards, our memory sticks, and dash camera, prisoner transport, and body camera. Similar concept. We're currently using WatchGuard that I think we've had for 5 years. Squad cameras and body cameras. The body cameras, we plug into the dock into our police department, and it downloads onto our separate WatchGuard server in the office. And then squad camera and prisoner transport camera videos that were recorded and saved to a hard drive on the squad car when we pull into the garage, connects to the access point and downloads those videos onto our local storage. Last year, we did talk about upgrading that local storage to a server storage. In the couple of months it took to have that conversation, the price went from $8,000 a year to, I believe, $12,000 a year. So we actually haven't even made that upgrade yet, which is actually kind of what led into this conversation. Is they're wanting $12,000 a year. All we're getting on that is upgrading our storage to cloud storage, and it's an annual fee. So we started researching what else is out there. So kind of getting back on topic, how we currently disseminate these digital evidence files that we're looking at. Photos and documents that are stored locally on individual officers' desktops, our WatchGuard server, our interview server. When requested, we'll download those onto DVDs or flash drives. We'll mail them to prosecutors, to defense attorneys, anybody that requests copies of our videos. And then also photos that we upload into the LETG. The prosecutors can access those files that way. So our request for this new evidence management system, what it would look like. So on the left, I have kind of our current hardware for collecting evidence. This includes our digital cameras, our voice recorders, our squad cameras, our body cameras, our interview cameras. Is what we're asking to do is replace all of that for what's on the right, which is a cell phone app, a new body camera, and a new squad camera. So for the evidence collection portion of our duties, this is what the replacement would look like. For our evidence storage portion of our duties, we will replace storing everything locally, and everything would be stored securely on Axon's cloud server. And then our evidence dissemination would replace all of our snail mail stuff and all of our LETG storage, and our prosecutors and any press or anybody, we can give access to our evidence, digital evidence, directly from the cloud. So to recap, is what we're asking to do is replace everything on the left to what's on the right. And so what this is this evidence management system consists of the Axon body camera, the Axon squad camera, the Axon Capture app, and their server evidence.com. I did prepare a little bit of more technicalities on like the body camera. I don't know if we want to really get too deep into that, but some of the important things to point out is the body camera is connected through cell service through the squad. So now any videos that it records, it pretty much instantaneously uploads it to the cloud service. So there's no downloading it at the office, and everything is securely stored pretty much immediately. And I did have, a video of some of the technical advantages to newer camera technology. The left, you can see the dark areas are more shaded, the right areas are more visible. It's got some newer HDR, high dynamic range, low light capabilities. But, with any computers and cameras and stuff, this stuff is rapidly evolving. It's by the time we order and get this, I'm sure there'll be more technical advantages out there. We have been trialing their body camera and their Axon app. So this is from a call I had. You can see on the left is what we currently use, our WatchGuard body camera. And on the right is a still shot from the Axon body camera. You can just kind of see the low light capabilities. You can actually pick out what's in her hand. You can actually see her face. The Axon fleet is part of this, which is new squad cameras and new equipment in all the squad cars, which is the squad camera, the prisoner transport camera, and then there's a hub where the digital files are stored temporarily, and then through what's called Cradle Point, everything is connected to cell networks, LTE networks, and when 5G's in the area, it'll connect to the 5G networks. So all of this evidence collected will be instantly uploaded and securely stored on the cloud through Cradle Point, which is an LTE 5G hotspot, which all of these devices in the system connect to. And then everything gets stored in Axon Evidence, which is evidence.com. And this will include all of those digital files that I presented in the beginning, everything from photos, videos, and the whole list. Everything is automatically compiled to whatever case you're assigned to. So now everything is in one location. It's automatically organized. And then when you go to disseminate it, it all gets disseminated as a package instead of the prosecutor downloading the pictures and then waiting for the videos in the mail and if the DVDs work and everything. This also includes some redaction and transcription capabilities. So in one of the calls I was trialing the system with, I did a voice recording interview, and you can see on the right there kind of, and I'll get a copy of the PowerPoints to you. It was transcribing the audio as it was recording it. Right now, Maggie does our transcribing. I sat down with her and showed her the software and showed her it in action. It transcribes the audio files and it'll transcribe video files. It'll just transcribe the communication in the video file. And Maggie was pretty impressed with it and said that'll save her hours of time when it comes time to transcribe anything we have. And then it also can auto redact video files. So here's a traffic stop I had where one click of a button and it blurred out all faces, all skin tone. It blurred out any screens, monitors, anything that you would normally redact before you release video files. Say somebody requested copies of videos. We had that recently, and one of the officers spent probably several shifts going through and manually redacting sensitive information. This software does it with AI technology. And then another portion of the system is this Axon Capture app. So this is kind of a built-in capital improvement plan. You know, right now we all use older point and shoot cameras, physical voice recorders, but the city has been in budgets and pays for cell phones for the officers. So they all have city cell phones. With this system, you have an app that can collect photos, audio recordings, video recordings, and citizen evidence, which I can show you that too. So now on any call, any arrest or traffic stop, if the officer has photo evidence to collect in the app, you open the photo app, it uses the iPhone camera, which as we replace our cell phones, which is already part of our kind of capital improvement plan, we're now updating our cameras, we're updating our voice recordings automatically. It's always going to be the latest cell phone technology that we're using to take pictures. So in the app, you'll take a picture, it'll import your ICR number, and it instantly uploads to the cloud. So it's uploaded to not our servers. It doesn't even download to your phone as far as, phones being called into court or anything like that, because it was used in an investigation. It's not the case because it doesn't save to the phone. It just uses the app that directly upload to the cloud server. Same goes for the audio files, video files. And then the bottom portion is the citizen feature, which is actually a really beneficial feature that I can demonstrate if anybody wants. I can demonstrate it with your phones is what happens. And I had it this past weekend. Some kids hot-wired a golf cart at the school and they were driving around the playground and they ran off when the maintenance staff yelled at them. And so I responded, and one of the Fun and Friends instructors had recorded on her phone a video of these kids doing this. And currently what we do is, well, here's my email address. Can you email it to me? In this case, the video file was too large. She couldn't even email it to me. So then I actually had her airdrop it to my cell phone. With this in the app, it shows on the top window, you click the program, you type in your case number, you type in the citizen's phone number, and then on the bottom picture, it sends them a text message where they click on the link and it opens a page that has one button that says upload. They click on that and they click on the video files, the pictures or whatever, and hit submit, and it from their phone uploads to our cloud server. So nothing comes into anything physical of ours. It goes right to the cloud server in that case file. So now if I had recorded something on my body camera, if I took evidence photos of, say, the damage on the playground, and then the instructor just submitted the evidence that way, everything has been uploaded to the cloud server instantly, and it's automatically all organized in the case file and labeled. And now when the city attorney or county attorney says, we want to prosecute that case, we'd like the evidence, they already have agencies that use Axon, so they actually already have their own login, and all we have to do is give them permission to access our evidence. And we don't mail anything, we don't email anything, we don't snail mail anything. Everything is basically already done. They just go in and take the evidence that they need. If a defense attorney or somebody that we don't regularly deal with wants to request evidence, we just punch in their email address online and it sends them a link and they have access to our evidence. We're no longer mailing anything, and we're no longer storing anything. It's all stored on secure, protected servers that also has audit trails for all of our evidence files. So any evidence file that's accessed by us, by county attorneys, by city attorneys, press, if we really send them a link, or defense attorneys, if we send them a link, every access is recorded, which currently we don't have that security measure on our evidence. When we're physically mailing criminal evidence in the post office, if somebody accessed that in between, we have no record of that, no way to prevent that. So there's a lot of kind of modern technology features in this overall system. The cost of it, they have it broken down into two different quotes, one for the body camera, one for the squad camera portion, and then the evidence.com is included. They have it broken down. We're pretty much seeing all vendors go to this pay as a service type contract where it's a 5-year contract. It costs just shy of $20,000 a year for the next 5 years. They send you all the equipment up front, and then on year 3, they do also replace our body cameras. They say a body camera has a 2.5-year lifespan. So that includes everything, and we'll make sure you get copies of the full quote of what's all included on it. Any questions on the evidence management portion of the presentation? You want to go over anything again? I do have body camera and the app. If somebody wants, I can send them a link to their phone and they can submit a photo to our evidence.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's two questions.
Yep.
Is this the kind of firm that you're dealing with here that once they got you for the first year, they've got you because you can't get out because you're using the same systems that everybody else are using? Are you locked in?
Well, for 5 years you are, then after that, if you want to update any equipment, replace anything, you would look at doing another contract. The firm is called Axon. It used to be called Taser. They're the ones that built tasers 20 years ago. They're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. They're a US based company. They are a massive company that are basically taking over everything law enforcement and security related. They are actually, this brings a good point, developing records management and CAD software now that is being trialed throughout the US. And actually Crow Wing County currently uses LETG, which in a couple of years, they're no longer going to be able to use. And they've been communicating with Axon for switching everybody in Crow Wing County to Axon records management and CAD software, which if we get into using Axon evidence for our calls for service right now, in the future, things are going to be so streamlined where you'll respond to a call, basically your report will be automatically made because dispatch, when they create the call and you take a picture, you record something, it's automatically uploads directly.
Basically, you're telling me that there's no other option, another firm, other platforms other than Axon?
No, there is. And where we started with this path is we were looking at WatchGuard. We switched to WatchGuard 5-6 years ago, but now our local storage isn't satisfying the demand. So we looked into upgrading to cloud service with WatchGuard. WatchGuard offers a similar product. We got approval, or when we first quoted for cloud storage, it was $8,000. And then in a matter of a couple of months, it switched to $12,000. And that's predominantly because WatchGuard was then bought by Motorola. And so we did talk to their rep. We were looking at their system too. And Motorola, if you are familiar, we ordered radios last November. We are still waiting for some parts. They said they're hoping this coming November. We've been communicating with their customer support, which is broken. There's some language barriers. They're not all US based. So
I think you're giving us too much information here.
okay.
But I have one final question for Chief. Do we have a policy on letting out some of this information to the general public? If somebody walks in the front door here and says, there was an accident down here last week, I'd like to get the video that you guys shot. Do we have a policy on letting it out?
Well, it depends on, squad car videos are public. So
Okay.
you could show that. Body cameras are generally considered private with a few exceptions. And the reason being is because your body camera could be on when you're in somebody's home, and you wouldn't want somebody coming and requesting a video of your medical, in your house, and them getting a layout of your house and seeing your private living area and stuff like that. So it's generally considered private data. But if there's, if you ever notice on TV when you see these police shootings, body cameras, they're usually Axon. You'll see Axon on the top of them. But yes, we do have a policy about, issuing or, disseminating body camera and squad car footage.
Yeah,
We ran into that a couple of years ago, as you might recall.
that's why I asked.
Luke, who all uses Axon right now in the county?
So right now in the county, I believe the county just started using Axon body cameras. They currently use Panasonic squad cameras. Brainerd uses Axon. Breezy Point is switching to Axon next year. And then not in the county, but in the county, State Patrol is switched to Axon.
Do you happen to know what the market share that the Axon has? Do they have data like that?
I don't have that data.
Okay.
No.
One thing that you do, I mean, most of the departments in the county are kind of, I mean, if the sheriff's office is gonna do a certain thing, it's nice to kind of stay in sync. And to what Luke just said, some departments have Axon evidence and Panasonic cameras and then you got 1,400 different platforms. So it would be nice. I mean, this is something Craig and I could almost use. I mean, it's pretty simple. Nice.
It sounds really integrated. I mean, really simple.
And
Well,
yeah,
and the
with-
cloud storage, you're not buying additional server space, you're not buying additional, lot of stuff, so.
And currently our digital cameras, voice recorders, a lot of that digital evidence technology isn't part of any kind of capital improvement plans.
Right.
It's really a kind of a part of our department that's the only part that's not in the capital improvement plan. With basically switching all of that to cell phone use, which is part of already being replaced regularly. It really covers a lot of birds.
Well, and I like the idea that, you know, it records and it's not on your phone,
Nope.
so that you don't have to worry about
And you're not even putting it on our
some
computers.
defense attorney subpoenaing your phone and stuff, so.
I would say that Axon is pretty much really it at this point. I mean, that's where everybody's going to, not say that can't change, but it has some other features that we're not proposing, but there's features if you pull your taser out, you know, you can buy tasers with cameras on them. If you pull it out, the camera activates, so there's never a question about a taser deployment. You know, there'll be video of it. You can also have it with your firearm, where you pull your fire out, the camera comes on, your body camera automatically comes on, so you won't have to worry about running into a situation where you're surprised or something and didn't have a chance to turn your camera on. So there's some safety features in there that you can build on later at some point, but we'll move it along so we can
Yeah.
get Brittany in, and we just have a
Thank
couple
you.
more quick things and
John, or you want me to just to show the secretary? Okay, so the second item was our police admin assistant. It's basically the same information we presented last year. There's a whole slew of tasks that police officers are currently doing that generally would be something a secretary would do. And here's the list of them, which, to contradict ourselves, things like transcription and redaction would be majorly streamlined with an upgraded evidence management system, as well as like ICR media, photos, evidence submissions. There's a few things in here that would be satisfied with the evidence management system. And then the same as we presented last year, the reasons why the officers should be on the street instead of doing secretarial duties in the office. And then I have also in the PowerPoint, which we'll make sure you guys get copies of, a sample ICR with different items of media and evidence and reports and whatnot that the officers are currently doing. And then the third item for our big changes to next year's budget, as Chief Taylor mentioned, is our firewall. Basically, the BCA recommended upgrading our firewall to add geo-blocking technology. We reached out to CTC to see if we could add that technology to our firewall. And they said our firewall is so out of date that it's not capable of adding that technology. And regardless of if we add geo-blocking or not, they recommended an upgrade to Fortigate 61F firewall, which costs $2,500 and then $560 annually. So those were the three big budget change items we were requesting for 2023. Any other questions, or we'll get you copies of the PowerPoint and the quotes.
Officer Hall was a very good presentation. Very well selling the Axon equipment.
But we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, I can tell, but one of the notes I had on it was new server. You covered that to replace the previous server. Another one would be time savings that demonstrated that too. Another question on it would be, since it is quite an upgrade on the IT side, would there be any additional IT management that would have to be accounted for on your department? Would there need to be any additional training, or would that have to be outsourced? You know what I mean?
So with their kind of pay as a service type billing they do now with the 5-year contract, that includes installation for all the squad cars, for all the technology. And that includes some initial, basically online training, and then it would just be in-house as far as getting familiar with using the new technology and using the new devices and practicing.
On the installation side, was that them coming here?
They have local reps,
Okay,
and actually our upfitter, DTM Fleet Supply, that currently upfits our squad is an Axon rep, so more than likely it would be our current upfitters replacing all the related equipment in the squad car.
okay,
But that would be on Axon's dime, whereas to Don's question earlier, when we were talking to WatchGuard, which is now Motorola, they don't pay for replacing the equipment, so it's just, we looked into a few different things and
sure.
this was the best fit.
Then the last thing I had was in regards to the Fortigate Firewall. For our business, we just purchased the same exact one because we had no choice. We actually had to pay for the higher one, and nobody likes to pay for a firewall. What the heck is a firewall?
Yep.
Until you have a cyber attack. And
Yep.
we had a cyber attack. All I can say on that note is you don't wish it until it happens, and then it happens, and then you wish you had it. So on both fronts with the Axon and the Fortigate,
Big security improvements.
absolutely, absolutely.
On the firewall, I think the Jeremy said the FBI actually said, you will do this.
Yeah.
Because if, they said, we're a vulnerable point of access, and if they access their files through our system, we're liable for that. They said. So
Okay.
we're gonna have to do it, or shut down the system and not be able to do backgrounds or anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a money well spent.
Right? Yeah, just like John said, cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Mayor, Ann, if I could?
Yeah.
So in your regular packet tonight, there's a request from the police department for purchasing of a squad car. The squad is I'm gonna say a normal part of our budgeting cycle. We do one every year. Because of the challenges with getting vehicles and things like that, we wanted to give Chief Taylor the opportunity to place the order whenever that window opens. So he didn't specifically, he's got a strategic plan sheet on it. It's part of the budget. We're trying to accelerate those things that we can and need to do. So I just wanted to mention that's coming tonight, and he can explain any details at the regular meeting, but that's why that's there. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. 56,000 really buys a new squad car?
Well, a couple years ago, I don't know whose decision it was, but we incorporated the squad car and the rigging of it together.
Mhm.
So the squad car doesn't cost that much. A squad car, I think, is probably gonna be around, we buy hybrids, they're a little more expensive, so I think around $32,000 to
Oh.
Well, I don't know, 35, let's call it then. But then if, for example, we don't have a state bid yet, they haven't come out. So let's say the cost is higher than that, we would have to make up the difference by our rigging end of it. So we'd have to cut back on that. So the total dollar amount won't be an issue. It's just the timing is kind of what we're looking at. We haven't got our squad from last year. And that was ordered almost a year ago. So we don't want to go through that again, but that squad has some air conditioning issue for the canine. So that's what we think the holdup is.
Okay.
Hopefully this one, other people have got their squad. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year, but
1040. 1040.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next on the chopping block.
I may have to, with the chief's permission, I may have to twist your ear on that axiom. That sounds pretty slick.
Well, I don't have a presentation anywhere near as
detailed as that was, so.
You
Cause
just.
you don't want anything, right?
Well, I
He
wouldn't
wa-
say that.
He wants to cut the subject.
Mine's just straight to the point. I just,
Okay.
I want this and this and this and this and this. Anyway, I guess we can probably just go straight to the capital improvement stuff.
City water.
Give me just a second. I think I'd like to start with the added employee first.
Where are we at?
So I think any of you that were around last year, you know that we're getting to a point in the maintenance department and the sewer department too, where we're needing more help. And in maintenance became pretty obvious this year. We had guys going out filling potholes by themselves. And if you're unfamiliar with that, it's usually at least a 2-man operation. There's a safety factor there. You're out in traffic. And usually one man is filling the pothole, the other one is operating the truck and doing some of the traffic control. And ideally, you'd probably want 3. We're to a point where we can't provide that manpower. One, my duties keep me more in the office, and I was one of the manpower in the maintenance department. We never backfilled that with another man. And plus the workload has increased. So they're finding themselves more and more spread out. And so I feel that the safety aspect is something we didn't pursue or didn't talk much about last year when we talked about another sewer operator. Right now that's been mothballed because as if you're familiar, we had tied that to whether or not Schaefer's development happened, and that obviously is not happening. So we're holding there, but the maintenance department has kind of leapfrogged ahead of the sewer in needing more manpower. There are a lot of things that are going undone. If any of you have been down to the Pocket Park, you'll know that Amber and I, the Parks Director, share in the maintenance there. But you'll also notice that it probably could have been in better shape than what it is. Well, we just simply don't have enough bodies to go around anymore. So I guess with that, I think that's the basic part of it. It's a simple another maintenance tech. I used one of the existing maintenance techs as a template for that, what it costs. So if you have any questions about that, I'd entertain that at the moment.
I think the only thing, maybe if we could get an idea of maybe to hook to that, like the pay scale for the maintenance tech. So we could see that.
Yeah.
You get it to all of us and you have a, you know.
Yeah. Moving on from that, probably the next biggest item I have would be the compact wheel loader. And so what this is our Bobcat, if you're familiar with that at all. We have an all-wheel steer Bobcat currently. Well, Bobcat will no longer be making those. So in order to get something that is pavement friendly, we're moving into a compact wheel loader. So that's the difference in the equipment, but these are part of the matrix. Every 7 years we replace it. It's trying to capture the peak values of these things and try to keep the annual cost as low as possible between maintenance and capital investment. So as you see here, it's a $65,000 purchase. And really it'll do everything that our Bobcat does, but it does a little bit more in capability with the snow blower. We'll be able to add to it. It's a little easier on the operators getting in and out of it, especially the older ones. And
No, currently you use that Bobcat, like they'll hook a hand to the front. Is that the same Bobcat
it's
or is that the?
It's a grapple bucket for trees when you see down when they're loading up the trucks with tree debris. It's snow removal. It's loading salt sand in the trucks. Pretty much does a little bit of everything.
Since this is my first go around on this, do you not add any attachments for that skid steer onto this request, or is that gonna be a separate request?
So the nice thing about this is it accepts our skid loader attachments.
Oh,
So,
all right.
so yeah.
None of them need to be replaced,
Well,
because I haven't seen any.
yeah, this is just, I think there's a bucket with this.
Okay.
But I think the rest of it is, we'll just move over our skid loader attachments to this. Any other
Right.
questions?
No questions.
The next biggest item I have, I believe, is the matching funds for the state and county road projects. There's not a specific project that I have this tied to at this time. I think the next big project that we have coming up is Mndot's 2030 plan for Highway 371. And we'll likely see some matching funds needed for that. I have no details I can offer you yet because we haven't been shown that plan. But one thing that may be tied to it, if you're familiar with the plans, again, with Schaefer's and the recycling center that we talked about, there's backage roads. Well, if we decide to build any of those backage roads, we're gonna have right of way purchases to make. And those will be our expenses, are typically not paid for by Mndot. And so the idea behind this fund is that it allows us to accumulate money when there aren't years like this where we don't have a project. So that when they do, 'cause they like to surprise us with their costs, we're not usually involved with the detailed planning enough to know what they're gonna be. This fund gives us some place to pull that from without a big impact to our city budget. Other ways we would use this are, if you're familiar with the traffic lights, Mndot makes us pay a portion of the maintenance on those. And we don't get a schedule for when they're going to repaint them, refurbish them, but we do get a bill. And usually it's in excess of $10,000. That's another place where this is used. So we had this set at $50,000 prior to COVID, and we lowered it that year when COVID was a new thing. There's a lot of uncertainty. We lowered it, I believe, to 25,000. So I don't have an analysis that gives you what this number should be. This is kind of a minimum where just to get the fund started. And then hopefully, as some information comes in, maybe on projects that are coming up with Mndot or the county, we can adjust this number up or down accordingly. Let's see, what else do I have? I think that's about it for. There was some smaller items, trash cans and barricades. As you know, we supply the trash cans downtown. Events like the 4th of July require more and more of those all the time. We are taking on more of the trash duties that the chamber used to get done. And so we need more cans to be able to provide that service. It's always a big complaint. So we're asking for some funds for that, and then also barricades to close off roads. You notice we've also started to close off more roads for those events, but we also need those for closing off roads for repairs, maintenance. Like when we had the big blowdown, we luckily didn't have to do it, but we probably should have been able to close off roads so we could more safely clear the debris from that. So this would allow us to purchase those items. With that, I guess I look for if you have any general questions about the maintenance budget. I think we are all familiar with the inflation that's going on. Most items in here, I allowed an 8% inflation adder, but as you're aware, this last month inflation rate was from the government is 9.8%, not 8. So that is information I got after I had prepared this, so I might even be a little light on some of my numbers going forward, but I'll stick to it for now. Any questions?
I just have a comment that I know this takes a lot of work to put this all together, but it's really very nicely done. It makes it a lot easier for me to understand what's going on when you see it like this. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is.
I
an
know it's a
easier
lot
year
of
for
work.
us. We don't have any road projects. 2025 is going to be a bigger year for the maintenance budget.
Yeah.
Just to be aware. I didn't leave Bethany much time.
Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening.
Good
Nothing,
evening.
Bethany.
We just want to start with the capital improvement plan summary. That would be great. As you can see in your 2023, there's just a few items, and we'll walk through those just really quickly. I know we've got just a few moments here. Many of the items you've probably seen before. They are kind of a carry through from prior budgets. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise, more of a surprise, I suppose, for me than for you. So the first one on the list is a downtown directional signage for businesses that are not on Main Street. There's been quite a need. It's been addressed by many different individuals in the community and business owners. It was something that Brittany had planned on. It had been in the budget prior. I did increase the amount to 3,000. What I'd like to do is I would like to start this fall by just identifying the businesses that would be represented on this sign. And then I would like to move into the design of the sign, open that up for public comment, get the public's involvement, especially the business owners downtown, and then have a plan for how to maintain the development, the management, who orders the signs, who switches out the signs, and then have that in play by next business season. Any questions on that?
No, ma'am.
The second item would be the ordinance review, revisions and administration and policy review of the Nisswa Code of Ordinances concerning land use development. In the time that I've been here, I've noticed that there's a significant need for revisions and review of our ordinance. We have started, thanks to your recommendation, to look into our Shoreland Ordinance. So we have started that process with Chris Pence. We have received his white paper. We've received that, and that's going to be presented to the Planning Commission next month. I would like to continue with that while we have the resources and while we have the expertise already thus far into our ordinance and this far into our policies and procedures. It would be nice to continue to work with him, to contract with him, to help us just work on those. It's a framework, definitely a foundation for what I do and of what we do for planning and zoning in the city of Nisswa.
Been good momentum on it. I think we've made good progress on it so far too.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged. Any questions? Okay.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
This will be in phases. We'll kind of take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
The first phase, we're hoping to have implemented by spring, next spring, before the,
Yeah.
I'll say busy season, right?
Yep.
At this point,
That's our projected goal is to have a working ordinance, basically revise the framework. We can review and massage it all we want after that, but right now we need it to be in the proper order. Right now, it's not even in an order that makes intuitive sense. All right, and the third item, and this is moving on to 24, and I'll just quickly go through these if you want me to, Jenny, or did you want me just to?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Are we talking in
Actually, I'll
downtown?
back up just a little
Downtown
bit. There's
or-
also, I believe, $1,200 for a computer. It's my understanding that computers are to be replaced about every 4 years. Maggie did find information for me later that said that it was purchased in 2020, so I'm going to be moving that to 2024. I don't need to have that expense on next year's budget. And then 2024. I would like to look into researching and implementing a permit management software system for document storage, for permit storage, for the creation of permits, an online portal that people can go online and apply for a permit. Everything would be contained in one area. I've had experience working with that. In my prior position, I spent the last year working with a company, Ledge View, and working on software creation for permitting software. I'm not looking for something like that. And on that scale for this would be more out of the box software, something that we could use on a much smaller scale, but it would help with organization. It would help save time. It would
You
be a
have
great
something in
asset.
mind?
I'm familiar with what's called RT Vision. RT Vision is a great program. I've had multiple years of experience with it. It would meet the needs of Nisswa, in my opinion, very well. I'm also looking into like an add-on for software that we already have. I believe finance uses it. And so it's something that we already have, and perhaps we could just add to that. So I'm not really favoring one over the other, just as long as if we do implement one, that it works for all departments or anybody else that may need that, that function as well.
And that's something that you will hear from admin next week as well, similar need. So I want to hopefully coordinate that effort to try to find something that would work well for everyone, and then we're fully integrated. So it's a great idea across multiple departments.
And then moving into just some other items that were already on the long-range infrastructure plan were the housing studies, the zoning map study, and then, of course, the downtown master plan study. That was actually slated to be accomplished this year, originally in 22. I think COVID had something to do with that being pushed or moved to the next year. Right now, we don't have it actually on any specific year. I kind of wanted to get your feedback on the importance and where you feel that would be best suited.
So is this just right downtown or Nisswa whole area?
Yeah, the downtown master plan study would be for the central business district primarily, of course, with also the highway business district, I believe, incorporated in that.
Oh, including Highway 371?
Those are details we haven't figured out. I think those are things we need to talk about more and
Yeah.
see exactly what we want to accomplish with something like that. What I can do is, Bethany, I can articulate some of the needs and the challenges we're hearing from businesses and visitors now, why we haven't made any decisions lately, because we don't want to do it, without considering the broader impact. So we can certainly bring something like that, more detail to the council. I can do that as part of my admin presentation next week, if that would help the council get a better picture of what that would look like.
That would make. a
I'm in
big
favor of that.
Perfect. That'd be great. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we take a brief recess?
If you can adjourn this meeting and then we'll,
We
yes,
can
and then maybe a
motion-
5-minute recess.
Motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You need